I ranked every K-drama I have ever seen, and that is what we're going to talk about today. Hi everyone, it's Emma, and today I'm talking about some of my favorite K-drama. You guys have asked me so often to do this video, to make a video talking about my favorite K-drama, and then recently I got a curious cat that asked for a list of every K-drama I have ever seen. So I decided, since I listed them all out to answer that question, I would rank them and talk about them a little bit. This is probably gonna be a long one, so make yourself some tea, get a pusheen or something to cuddle, and settle down because we are going to talk about some K-drama. I started watching K-drama maybe a year and a half ago, so over the course of that year and a half, I've watched a decent amount of K-drama. I don't really watch a lot of TV shows. I tend to lose interest in them after a couple episodes, but K-drama, because they are just one season long, they keep my interest and I tend to fly through them. So I separated all the K-drama I have watched into 3 categories, and I'm going to start at the bottom and go to the top. The first category is K-drama that are very addictive, and while you're watching it, it's like all you want to do is watch that K-drama, and yet they don't really have much substance to them. Number 1 on this list is the Heirs. This is probably the only high school K-drama I've watched, although I've watched some K-drama that start in high school and then go on until they are adults with careers. This is like Gossip Girl in K-drama form, but I have to say, I love this K-drama. I would totally recommend it. It's not particularly well written, and I actually despise the main lead guy, which is often a big turnoff for K-drama. He is kind of that typical possessive dude, but the reason that I was okay with this K-drama is because I wasn't that invested in the love story itself. I didn't even care that much about the main girl. After a certain point in the season, I started to care more about the story as a whole and some of the side characters. Kim Woo-bin's character is why I love this K-drama. His progression from being a bully who I despised with every fiber of my being to one of the characters that I've rooted for the hardest in any K-drama. I had some hardcore second lead syndrome with this one. The second K-drama in this category is called Pinocchio. This one I watched because the lead actor is Lee Jung-suk, and Lee Jung-suk is one of my favorite K-drama actors. I will watch any K-drama that he's in. I don't care how cheesy it is, he will make the whole show. So I pretty much watched this K-drama just to see some more of him, but I ended up really enjoying it. It is about these 2 characters who are becoming reporters. There is a lot more to it than that. It's actually one of those K-drama that is so complicated that I can't really explain to the full extent what it's about. But the main girl, she has what they call Pinocchio syndrome. So whenever she lies, she hiccups. It's kind of about how she becomes a reporter, how that comes into play, how it plays out in her personal life, and of course, a romance. I think this one is actually more quality than some of the other K-drama in this category. I do think this one has some good twists and turns. I like the romance, and there are some really cute, swoon-worthy kisses and moments between the couple. The next K-drama is called Cheese in the Trap. When I watched this K-drama was the first time I ever experienced second lead syndrome. I love the other love interest in this show. I'm not going to spoil you guys, obviously, but if you watch it, you can probably guess which character it is that I was rooting for. This one is really entertaining, but the reason that it can't make it to any of the other categories is because I think that the lead guy is very problematic. I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to make him this complex person who had experienced things that really influenced the way that he thinks about people and that he interacts with people in relationships. It's just that it was not something that I liked to see in a romantic relationship. It made me not root for the main couple. So I couldn't fully give in to this K-drama because of that. It was still really entertaining though, and I love the lead girl, and like I said, I love some of the side characters. This one is a college K-drama, and like most college K-drama, there are trigger warnings galore. I want to say that the biggest one is stalking, so some of it can be pretty creepy, kind of disturbing, but I actually like that about college K-drama because they do tend to address more issues than some of the other ones. The next one I want to talk about is called Cinderella and the Four Knights. You can probably guess what this one is. It's a Cinderella retelling. It is about this girl who is super spunky and smart, and her goals in life are to go to college. But her mom has passed away and she's living with her evil stepmother, but she has this like edge to her, and through kind of random circumstances she comes in contact with this family. This family has a bunch of warring cousins. These cousins, these young men, are all kind of possible heirs to this huge fortune, and she ends up being hired to whip them into shape because they are spoiled brats. This one is kind of cheesy, but it actually really holds a dear place in my heart. I love this K-drama. I think it's because I love the main girl character. Whenever there is a strong, sassy lead in a K-drama, I just have to love it. And the last K-drama that I have to talk about in this category is called Oh My Ghostess. This is without a doubt the most bizarre K-drama I've ever watched. I started watching it because it was on Netflix and because the lead girl in this drama is the same actress as strong woman Do Bong-soon, which I will talk about a little bit later. The whole premise of this K-drama is that a ghost possesses young women because she kind of is obsessed with men and with being with men. She ends up possessing our main character, but they kind of fit together too well and the ghost can't escape from her body, so she starts living out her life. You can imagine how weird this one is just from the premise. The lead girl, she works in a kitchen. It's her dream to be a chef, but she's not outgoing. She's really quiet. She's really tentative, and so she hasn't really made much progress in her dreams. What I liked about this one is that you get to see the main character coming out of herself and like learning how to be a successful person as someone who's really quiet. However, I don't think it was done to the extent that I wanted it to be done. A lot of the time I was confused as to like, is the main character actually changing? Is it just this ghost girl who's possessing her body? Because the ghost herself has this really outrageous, really out there personality. I really did like the lead guy, and I did like seeing the actress from Strong Woman Do Bong-soon in another drama, and it was fun to watch a drama that took place in a kitchen because I'd never watched one of those before. So overall, it was pretty cute. My second category for K-drama is the middle ground. These are the ones that I really enjoyed that I would probably recommend at some point, but they're not my go-to favorites. They're not the ones that if you ask me, what are your favorite top K-drama? None of these will make their way onto this list, but I did really enjoy them. The first one is called Because This Is My First Life. I just watched this one pretty recently and I did really enjoy it. It is about these two people who decide to get married because it is financially and generally beneficial for them in their lives. They don't really know each other that well. They definitely are not in love with each other, but they're very unique personalities. They don't really have interest in romantic relationships at this time in their life, and yet they find it mutually beneficial to get married and they start living together. I really loved both the characters in this K-drama, and I think it did a really good job of portraying what it's like to be in a relationship for the first time. The main girl had never been in any type of dating relationship, so she really has no idea what she's doing, and I thought that it was portrayed really well. Like, a lot of her doubts and her thoughts and the things that she was confused about were very realistic, so I appreciated that. I also love this one because it has the best K-drama cat. There is the cutest cat in this K-drama. I did really enjoy this one, but it's not one that has stuck with me very much. Like I said, it's one of the more recent K-drama I've watched, and I already kind of forget a lot of what happened, which makes me know that it's not really an all-time favorite. The next K-drama is called Hwarang. I 100% watched this one because Taehyung from BTS is in this K-drama. He plays one of the side characters. But I actually ended up loving this one. It's so much fun. It takes place in the past, and I think it was the first of that kind that I watched. It's about this elite group of men who train to be warriors to protect the king. However, the king ends up disguising himself and becoming one of these warriors, and it's about the romances that go on. This K-drama has the best, most lovable cast. If you watch interviews of the cast of Hwarang, you will want to watch the show. They're just all so sweet, and they became such good friends while filming this. Park Hyung-sik in it, which is one of my favorite actors. Park Seo-joon, which is another of my favorite actors. Taehyung from BTS and Minho from SHINee, and they all do a really good job acting, and they all have really lovable characters. So that one was really fun. It's also really very sad and heartbreaking. The other K-drama that I've watched of Hyung-sik is also in this category, and it is Strong Woman Do Bong Soon. I feel like a lot of you will be surprised that this one didn't make its way into my all-time faves category. It was the first K-drama that I ever watched, so for that reason it definitely holds a dear place in my heart, and I do think that it is such a sweet one, very well done, really good actors. It is about this girl who has crazy superhuman strength. She can like pick up cars and crush people with her bare hands and stuff. It is something that's been passed down through the women of her whole family, generation to generation. But if you use this power for your own personal gain, then you will lose the super strength. I love this one because the main character is very lovable. She's always accidentally hurting people, as you can imagine, because she is really, really super freaking strong. And also the couple is just the absolute cutest. They may be the cutest, like sweetest of all K-drama couples. It's just so cute. I can't even explain how adorable it is. This one is kind of violent and can be disturbing at times, but it's because it is almost done in a humorous way. Because she can hurt people almost to no end, like she can do crazy stuff with their bodies, she sometimes accidentally does some really violent stuff. So if you are sensitive to that, just be aware going in. I think the first episode is even one of the most violent. It also follows the plotline of this serial killer who kind of abducts women, and it can be super, super creepy at times. I think that's one of the reasons it didn't make it onto my all-time favorites list, because I ended up skipping through a lot of those scenes that had to do with that serial killer guy because it was just so creepy. So if you are new to K-drama, I still sometimes recommend this one, although because of the creepiness and the violence and stuff, I don't always recommend it. The last K-drama in this category is more of an honorable mention because I actually have not watched the last 3 episodes or so. And that K-drama is Goblin. This is another like fantasy slash historical K-drama, and I think one of the reasons that I never finished it is just because those are not my favorite. They just don't capture me as much as like the college age ones and the ones that take place in a workplace or something like that. I loved this one while I was watching it, but somewhere along the way it just kind of lost me. I do intend to go back and finish it, so don't spoil me for the ending because I've avoided being spoiled for this long. The basic gist of this one is it is about this goblin who is like this all-powerful being who cannot die until he finds the goblin's bride. This K-drama overall is pretty hilarious. I think that's like the standout point for this one, is that it is super funny. And now we have made it to my all-time faves category. These are the K-drama that I will rave about non-stop, that I suggest to pretty much everybody who asks about K-drama, and that I would rewatch at any point in my life. I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way up. I'm pretty sure I have 5 faves, and I listed them in order from least to all-time favorite. The first one is called Moon Lovers Scarlet Heart Ryeo. I almost didn't put this one on my all-time faves list because I do have some issues with it, but honestly, I love this K-drama, and I will explain why. This one is about this 21st century woman who gets time traveled back into the past, becomes kind of involved in the royal family's lives. The whole time that she is living back in the past, she's kind of trying to remember what she knows of the history of the time period that she's in and the king and what he does, and at the same time trying to change things, trying to figure out who the king is, keep this family together. She very much becomes involved in all the like royal politics. This one, the storyline to me is so strong that my issues with the main love interest almost didn't matter as much. I do think that the main guy is pretty problematic. He did some things that made me hardcore cringe, and yet I was still kind of rooting for him. I jokingly called him the Prince Zuko of K-drama because he literally has like a scar and he has a pretty similar character arc, but I wanted him to have the same character arc as Zuko and he just didn't quite get there. I think one of the reasons it doesn't bother me as much is that there wasn't another guy character who was really good and I wanted the lead girl to be with. Often when I dislike the main guy character, there's another guy character who is just nice and sweet and treats her well, and she doesn't go with him. She goes with the other guy, and that's why it annoys me so much. But in Scarlet Heart Ryeo, there are lots of love interests, and I didn't like any of them. Like, I literally was not rooting for any of these guys. So regardless of the fact that I was not super on board with any of the ships, I love this K-drama. It is so well written, so heartbreaking and dramatic. I know a lot of people don't like the ending for this one, but I actually loved it. It was one of my favorite kinds of endings. Yeah. My next two favorites I think could almost be interchangeable depending on when you're asking me. So for now, I'm going to list them like this. The next one is Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-ju. This one has amazing female friendships, amazing themes, such a good love story, like so cute, so good. If you want a college age K-drama that is not problematic, doesn't have trigger warnings, is not super creepy, this is your go-to. I highly suggest it. We follow this girl named Kim Bok-ju and she is a weightlifting major in her college. She's really tall and like not a girly girl at all. And it's about her and this boy who was a swimmer at the same college. They went to school together and they happened to run back into each other at college. Don't necessarily hit it off, but what good K-drama couple does when they first meet? One of the things that I love about this K-drama is that it takes her a while to warm up to him. Like, he has to actually woo her and like go after her, and he does it in such a sweet, respectful way that I love them. I love them so much. The other thing that I love about this K-drama is it really balances a lot of different dynamics. You've got a family aspect going on, you have such good female friendships. There's school stuff going on, like going after your dreams, losing your ambition, trying to like find your way, and then you have the romance, and they're all kind of equally balanced. I love that about it because it just makes like this very complete view of the life of a college person. So I don't know how many times I said that it was cute while I was talking about it, but guys, it is just so cute. The next K-drama is called Hello My Twenties, or Age of Youth. I'm actually currently watching season 2 of this. This K-drama is on Netflix, so if you want one that is easy to watch, this is a good one to start with. This is another college age K-drama. However, this one, unlike Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-ju, does have a lot of trigger warnings. I actually like that about this one because it handles some pretty serious current day college age issues in a pretty impressive way. This one is about these 5 girls who all room together in an apartment. They all have very different personalities, and it's kind of about them and their relationships with each other. I cry over these female friendships. I think they're the best. Each girl is so real to me. Like, I see my friends in these girls. I will say that I think season 1 was better written than season 2. Season 2 was done as a Netflix original, and the youngest girl of the group was played by a totally different actress that I didn't like nearly as much as the original actress. I think that kind of changed the dynamic. However, season 2 also added the addition of a new girl, and I love her so much. Like I said before, this one has a lot of trigger warnings. They do try and address some pretty current day issues for young college people, like abuse in a relationship. Be aware of that before you go in. There's some really intense scenes that happen. I think even the second season was more intense at times, but it always goes back to the lightheartedness and then like showing them recover from the stuff that happens. So I do really appreciate the fact that they include those difficult topics in a K-drama like this. It's great. It's wonderful. My next K-drama on my all-time faves list is very different from all the others on my all-time faves list. This one is called Descendants of the Sun. This one follows the Korean Special Ops Forces and one guy in particular, and then a girl who is a surgeon and kind of becomes involved with them. They start working together. The actors who played this couple actually got married in real life, so you know that their chemistry as a couple is real. There's this side character girl that I love with all of my heart. She is so strong and so spunky, and she tells her man what is up. She is actually part of the special forces, and I think I love that particularly. This one's like the Grey's Anatomy of K-drama. If you love Grey's Anatomy, I think you will 100% love this one. That being said, there are some like frightening images and stuff. Obviously, we're dealing with special forces stuff, so there's some like explosions and people getting hurt. There's a couple episodes in particular that are really violent, but it fluctuates throughout the show. It's really funny, it's super cute. I think this one is more romantic than cute. The relationship between them feels more like an adult relationship, and I really like that about it because it is just swoon-worthy, definitely swoon-worthy. We've now made it to my number 2 all-time favorite, and I can't wait to talk about this K-drama because it is so underrated. I never hear people raving about this K-drama, and it is my second favorite top K-drama ever. This one is called She Was Pretty. This one is my favorite because I think that the themes are so good. This one is about learning how to love yourself for who you are, for how you're made, learning to love your appearance but not put too much stock in your appearance, learning to forgive people, learning to forgive yourself, making mistakes, growing from those mistakes, wronging your friends, having your friends forgive you. It is just so good. This is one of those K-drama that I rewatch random episodes of whenever I'm feeling down. Like, I don't need to rewatch it in order. I'll just pick an episode and start watching, and it always manages to cheer me up. Plot-wise, we kind of follow this fashion magazine and the happenings that go on inside of this fashion magazine. The main character becomes like an intern for this fashion magazine, even though she has no interest in fashion. On the other side of things, we follow her and her childhood best friend slash first love. They had not connected in a really long time. They kind of lost touch with each other. And then one day she gets an email from him and they decide to meet up. They haven't seen each other in years and years since they were kids. When she was a kid, she was very pretty, popular in her elementary school, and he was kind of pudgy. She was kind of his only friend, but now they've grown up and he has become very handsome, and she has kind of not kept up with taking care of herself. Her hair became very frizzy, she had some discoloration on her skin, and she doesn't really feel pretty about herself. So when they go to meet up, she convinces her best friend to pretend to be her, and you can imagine wildness ensues. It is one of the best slow burns. If you don't like slow burn, don't watch this one because it takes a while, but I'm telling you, the payoff is worth it. I love the main girl character. I love her progression. I always really like when someone goes through like a makeover stage, but then goes through like an unmakeover stage, like where she starts looking pretty and dressing pretty by society's standards, but then she realizes what she needs in herself to look pretty and to feel confident and to feel successful, and then she goes with that instead. That is like my favorite thing ever in any kind of media, in writing, in books, in K-drama. I do love seeing the makeover, but the unmakeover is what I love even more. This one also has really, really great side characters. There's this guy best friend that she has that is so hilarious and over the top. It also is a lot about like career, finding your career, growing in your career, finding what you're good at, finding what you love, and I really related to that because the main character does want to be a writer. Alright, it is time for my all-time favorite K-drama! I'm almost nervous to do this one because I feel like I can't express the extent to which I love this K-drama. I think a lot of you will already know what it is. It is W2 Worlds. I don't even know how to explain this K-drama. I guess it is a thriller, but it is definitely the most complex K-drama I've ever watched. The main girl's dad is a web webcomic artist. And one day she gets pulled into this webcomic, meets the main character, saves his life, kind of becomes a character in the webcomic herself. She's flipping back and forth between the real world and this webcomic world. And in the real world, people are reading the stuff that she does when she's in the webcomic world. When she's in the webcomic world, she's living it out. This K-drama is so complicated, I can't even remember all of the plot twists that happen in this one. That is why I love it so much. I love all the actors. This one also stars Lee Jong-suk. I think this might be the first K-drama that I saw him in, and within the first episode I was crying my eyes out because he's such a good actor and he was sad and it made me sad. I love the romance in this one as well. It's not so much cutesy, I don't think. They have some cute moments, but similar to Descendants of the Sun, this one is like a more adult relationship, just more pure romance than like cute couple-y kind of stuff. It has no filler episodes. I love every single episode. So much changes from episode to episode. Another thing that it reminds me of is Death Note, the manga. There's that feeling of like you're not quite sure who the good guy is. You're trying to solve everything. There's a lot of legal stuff going on. It just keeps you guessing the whole time. A lot of times I would finish an episode and be like, oh yeah, we're good. We're safe. Everything's good. You start the next episode and 5 minutes in, everything is chaos and all has gone to hell in the best way possible. I think I have been raving about W2 Worlds for long enough. I'm not even sure if I said anything concrete, but it is my all-time favorite K-drama out of all of these K-dramas, so you gotta know that I love it. Those are all of the K-drama that I have watched within the past year and a half. I'm always looking for recommendations, so if you have seen any that you think I would like that are similar to my all-time faves, then let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear what some of your guys' favorites are. I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing about all the K-drama that I have ever watched, including my all-time favorite. I hope you have a lovely day or night or afternoon wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video.